They say love is the most powerful force in the universe. Songs are written about it, poets have dedicated lifetimes to it, and stories have been told for centuries, each one promising the same intoxicating dream, a love so perfect, so effortless, it defies reality itself. We grow up believing in this illusion. We see it in the stories we hear as children, in the movies that captivate us, in the whispered promises of soulmates destined to find each other against all odds. But what if it's all a mirage? What if the love we've been conditioned to expect is nothing more than a beautifully crafted illusion, designed to make us yearn for something that doesn't, and perhaps cannot, exist? The perfect illusion. Picture it. A crowded cafe. A woman, lost in thought, idly stirring her coffee. A man, charming and mysterious, catches her eye from across the room. Their gazes lock, and in that single moment, the world slows. They are strangers, and yet, something invisible binds them together. A silent understanding. A spark that ignites destiny. This is the love we are promised. The grand orchestration of fate. The unspoken certainty that, when the right person arrives, everything will fall into place. No doubt. No hesitation. Just instant, perfect love. But reality is far less forgiving. The unraveling of the dream. Let's step away from the silver screens and well-worn pages of fairy tales and into the stark, often chaotic world of real relationships. Here, love is not a lightning bolt of fate but a slow, uncertain process. Two people, flawed and complex, trying to navigate each other's worlds. Attraction. Yes. But what about the late-night arguments? The misunderstandings that simmer just beneath the surface? The small irritations that, over time, grow into mountains? Real love is not effortless. It is not immune to conflict, to moments of loneliness, to disappointment. And yet, we enter relationships expecting ease, expecting perfection. When our partners fail to meet these impossible standards, we question everything. Was it real? Was it love at all? The struggle for compatibility. We are told that the right person will understand us without explanation. That communication should be seamless. But in reality, love is a language that must be learned. Words can be misunderstood, intentions can be misinterpreted, and silence can be louder than any spoken sentence. Think of two people who come from different worlds, different upbringings, different pasts, different wounds. They may love each other deeply, but love alone does not erase differences. It does not smooth over the jagged edges of human nature. Love is not just about finding the right person, it is about choosing them every single day, even when it is hard, even when they are not perfect, even when you are not perfect. The price of believing the myth. There is a danger in the fairy tale love story. It sets us up for failure. It tells us that love should be effortless, that struggle is a sign of weakness, that if things don't feel like magic, then perhaps it isn't meant to be. And so, we leave. We chase something better, something easier, something that matches the fantasy. But time and time again, we are met with the same truth. Every relationship, no matter how beautiful, requires effort. Every love story has its trials. The difference between lasting love and fleeting infatuation is not in finding perfection, but in embracing imperfection. The truth about love. So, what is love, really? It is waking up next to the same person, even on the days you don't feel butterflies. It is choosing patience when tempers flare, choosing understanding when words fail. It is the quiet, steady presence of someone who sees you, flaws and all, and stays anyway. It is work, yes. But it is also one of the most profound, rewarding journeys a human being can take. The truth is, love is not a fairy tale. But that does not make it any less extraordinary. If anything, it makes it more so. Because real love is not written by fate. It is written by choice, day after day, in the smallest, most unglamorous moments. The messy middle. The honeymoon phase, where everything feels light, effortless, and exhilarating, can only last so long. Eventually, the spell wears off. The little quirks that once felt endearing start to irritate. Conversations that once flowed like poetry begin to stall. Reality creeps in, bringing with it misunderstandings, unspoken expectations, and the slow realization that love, no matter how deep, does not eliminate struggle. This is the messy middle. The space between the intoxicating beginning and the settled, enduring connection that only time and effort can build. It is the part of the love story rarely shown in fairy tales, yet it is where the real work begins. The reality of communication breakdowns. At first, words came effortlessly. Now, silence lingers where conversations used to be. A couple sits across from each other at a dinner table. The clatter of utensils fills the space between them. One glances at their phone, the other watches the clock. A gulf has formed, one neither knows how to cross. It's not that they no longer care. It's that communication is harder than they ever expected. No one tells us that love alone is not enough to make us good communicators. We assume that if we truly love someone, they should just understand us. That if they really cared, they wouldn't need us to spell out our needs, our frustrations, our fears. But love does not grant us telepathy. Assumptions build, resentment festers, and soon, two people who were once inseparable feel like strangers in the same room. The truth. Communication isn't always intuitive. It takes practice. It requires patience, vulnerability, and a willingness to be uncomfortable. Love does not make us immune to miscommunication, it simply gives us a reason to keep trying. The battles no one talks about. Conflict is inevitable. No matter how perfect a couple seems, disagreements will come. Some will be minor, what movie to watch, whose turn it is to do the dishes. Others will be monumental, finances, family decisions, values that collide in ways neither anticipated. And in these moments, love alone is not enough. Some fights will feel impossible to resolve. Some words, once spoken, cannot be taken back. There will be nights spent lying awake, wondering if it is all worth it. There will be moments where walking away feels easier than staying. This is the test of love, not the absence of conflict, but the ability to navigate it without losing respect, without forgetting why you chose each other in the first place. The strongest relationships are not the ones without struggle, but the ones where both people refuse to let the struggle define them. The ebb and flow of emotions. No one is in love every single day. There will be mornings where the sight of your partner brings warmth, and others where they simply feel like another person in the house. Some days, love is passion. Other days, it is patience. And sometimes, it is just a quiet choice to stay, to keep going, even when the feelings aren't as strong as they once were. Love is not linear. It moves in cycles. And in those moments of doubt, when love feels distant, the question is not, do I still feel the same? But rather, am I willing to keep choosing this person? The work that never ends. The most enduring love stories are not the ones that avoid hardship, but the ones that embrace it. Love is not about never struggling, it's about knowing that the struggle is worth it. It's about growing together, learning together, and understanding that there will always be work to do. And maybe, just maybe, that's what makes it real. Finding love in the real world. Breaking free from the illusion. If love is not the fairy tale we were promised, then what is it? If there is no fated meeting, no instant perfection, how do we find something real? Something lasting. The truth is, love isn't found, it is built. And that construction requires something far greater than chemistry or fate. It demands honesty, vulnerability, and the courage to show up as our true selves, even when it feels uncomfortable. The power of vulnerability and authenticity. We are taught to impress, to be the best version of ourselves when seeking love. We hide our flaws, our insecurities, fearing that they might make us unlovable. But real connection does not thrive in perfection. It is forged in the raw, unfiltered moments, when we reveal our fears, when we share our dreams, when we allow ourselves to be truly seen. Vulnerability is terrifying, but it is also the gateway to genuine love. Because only when we drop the mask can we know if someone loves us for who we truly are, rather than the version we perform for them. The role of communication, active listening, and compromise. Love is not just about what we feel, it is about what we do. And the foundation of any strong relationship is built on 3 pillars: communication, listening, and compromise. Communication is not just speaking, it is being understood. It is expressing needs without blame, sharing emotions without fear, and creating a space where honesty feels safe. Listening is more than hearing words, it is understanding the meaning behind them. It is silencing the urge to defend, to fix, to react, and instead, simply being present with what the other person is saying. Compromise is not about losing, it is about finding balance. It is recognizing that no two people will ever be perfectly aligned, but in love, we choose to meet each other halfway, not because we have to, but because we want to. Practical steps to cultivating healthy relationships. So how do we build love that lasts? How do we move beyond the illusion and into something real? Start with self-love. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Loving yourself, flaws, strengths, and everything in between, sets the tone for how others will love you. Embrace personal growth. A strong relationship is built between two whole individuals, not two halves seeking completion. Growth, self-reflection, and emotional maturity lay the groundwork for love that endures. Set realistic expectations. No partner will be perfect. No relationship will be without conflict. Accepting this reality allows love to flourish in its true form, rather than in a fantasy. Practice emotional honesty. Say what you mean. Ask for what you need. Let your partner in, rather than expecting them to read between the lines. Be willing to work. Love is not passive, it is an ongoing choice. The strongest relationships are not the ones that never struggle, but the ones that refuse to give up. Love beyond the illusion. The love we dream of, the deep, lasting, unwavering kind, does not come from fairy tales. It comes from effort, from understanding, from two people, imperfect and human, choosing each other every single day. And in that choice, in that work, in that raw, unfiltered reality, love becomes something far greater than any illusion. It becomes real. Love is a verb, nurturing the connection. Love is not just a feeling, it's an action. Love is often mistaken for something passive, a feeling that simply exists, requiring no maintenance, no effort. But true love is not something we fall into and expect to remain unchanged. It is something we must nurture, something we must actively sustain. Love, in its truest form, is a verb. The greatest relationships do not thrive on grand gestures or fleeting moments of passion alone. They are built, day by day, through the quiet, consistent actions that strengthen the bond between two people. The power of shared experiences. Life is not just measured in time, it is measured in moments. And in relationships, those moments become the threads that weave two lives together. The laughter over an inside joke. The spontaneous road trip that led nowhere. The simple act of cooking dinner together after a long day. These are the experiences that form the foundation of a lasting connection. When couples stop creating new experiences together, they risk stagnation. The relationship becomes routine, predictable. But when they continue to explore, to try new things, to step outside of comfort zones together, they keep their connection alive. The role of meaningful conversations. Love is not just about being in the same space, it's about being present in each other's lives. And nothing deepens a relationship more than true, meaningful conversation. Beyond the daily exchanges of "How was your day?" and "What should we eat for dinner?" lies the kind of dialogue that keeps love thriving. Conversations about dreams, fears, personal growth. The ability to truly listen, to understand rather than simply respond. To ask questions, to be curious about your partner even after years together. When communication remains intentional, the emotional bond deepens. Quality time over quantity of time. In a world filled with distractions, being present is one of the greatest gifts we can give our partner. It's easy to mistake proximity for connection, but being physically near each other is not the same as true quality time. A couple can sit side by side, each lost in their phone, their minds miles apart. Or they can put everything down, lock eyes, and truly be with one another. Quality time is not about extravagant dates or elaborate plans. It's about attention, about making each other feel valued. Whether it's a long walk, an intimate conversation, or simply enjoying a shared silence, it is the act of prioritizing each other that strengthens love. Investing in love. Choosing each other every day. Love does not flourish on autopilot. It requires energy, patience, and most of all, choice. It's choosing to be kind, even when frustration creeps in. It's choosing to uplift your partner, to celebrate their wins, to stand by them in their struggles. It's choosing to grow together, rather than apart. A relationship is not something we have, it is something we do. And the strongest, most enduring love stories are not written in grand, cinematic moments, but in the small, everyday acts of care, effort, and intention. A love that lasts. Fairy tales end at the wedding. But real love begins where the fairy tale stops. It is in the daily choices, the shared experiences, the meaningful conversations, the willingness to nurture what has been built. Because love is not just something we feel. Love is something we do. And that is what makes it last. Beyond the fantasy, embracing imperfection. The illusion of perfection. We have been conditioned to seek perfection in love. From the pages of fairy tales to the screens of romantic movies, we are shown a version of love that is smooth, effortless, and without flaws. It's always picture perfect. Soulmates who never argue, lovers who always say the right things, passion that never fades. But real love is messy. It is full of contradictions. It is beautiful and frustrating, thrilling and mundane, comforting and challenging. And yet, for some reason, we are taught to believe that imperfection is a flaw rather than a sign of something real. What if we have been chasing the wrong thing all along? What if the goal was never to find perfection, but to embrace imperfection? The beauty in the flaws. Think about the person you love or have loved. Not in the grand, movie moment highlights, but in the everyday details. The way they mispronounce certain words. The little habits that once seemed odd but now feel endearing. The way they scrunch their nose when they're confused, or how they hum a tune under their breath when they're lost in thought. Love is not found in flawless moments. It is found in the quirks, the small gestures, the perfectly imperfect ways two people learn to fit together. Yet, many of us spend our time searching for a love that doesn't exist. We compare our relationships to idealized versions, expecting smooth sailing, and when we hit rough waters, we wonder if we're with the right person. But the truth is, every love story will have its storms. The question is not whether you'll face them, but whether you'll fight through them together. Love is not about finding the perfect person. If love were about perfection, no relationship would survive. Because no human being is without flaws. No two people fit together seamlessly without effort. A lasting relationship is not about finding someone who never makes mistakes, never frustrates you, never challenges you. It is about finding someone whose imperfections you are willing to embrace, just as they embrace yours. The strongest couples are not the ones who never struggle, but the ones who refuse to let their struggles define them. Who see each other, flaws and all, and say, "I choose you, not in spite of your imperfections, but because of them." Growth, learning, and choosing love every day. Love is a journey, not a destination. It is not about arriving at some perfect version of a relationship, but about constantly learning and growing together. There will be moments of frustration. There will be times when you feel disconnected. But these moments are not signs of failure. They are opportunities. Opportunities to listen, to understand, to deepen the connection. Every challenge faced together becomes part of the story, part of the foundation that makes love stronger. Choosing love every day means choosing patience over irritation, understanding over assumption, and commitment over convenience. It means choosing to stay, to work, to grow. A call to embrace real love. So let's step away from the illusion of perfection. Let's stop searching for something that doesn't exist and start appreciating what's real, the love that is flawed, messy, challenging, and yet deeply fulfilling. Love is not about escaping imperfection. It is about embracing it. It is about seeing someone at their most vulnerable and staying anyway. It is about weathering the hard days because the good days make it all worthwhile. If you've ever doubted your relationship because it didn't look like the stories you've been told, take a step back and ask yourself, is this love imperfect, or is it simply real? If this message resonated with you, if you've ever felt the pressure to find a perfect love, know that you're not alone. Share your thoughts in the comments. What lessons have you learned about love and imperfection? How have your experiences shaped your understanding of what it truly means to love? And if you want more honest conversations about love, life, and growth, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Because here, we don't just tell love stories, we tell the truth about them. Hit that like button if you believe in real love, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video. Let's build a community that celebrates love in all its raw, beautiful, imperfect reality. Because real love, that's the greatest story of all.